Narayana Paripurna Gunarnavaya Visvodaya Stititolaya Niyadi Prataya Jnana Prataya Vibuddha Sura Saukya Dukkha Satkaranaya Vidadaya Namo Namaste Yo Vipulimba Viparita Madiprabhudan Vadan Narasakatavan Bhuvidatvavadam Sarvesvaro Haririti Pratipata Tam Ananda Tirtha Munivaram Namami Pujyaya Raghavendraya Satyadharmarataya Cha Pajatam Kalpavrikshaya Namatam Kamadenavem Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahaihi Tejaspinavadidamastu ma Vishvidavahaihi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome friends, as we have gone into the fourth Valli and we have seen so far about 9 mantras and 10th mantras we were on last week. We have seen how because the senses are to be taken care of and because how to master over the senses so that it is able to do what you want, and instead of you being the servant of the senses, you become a master of the senses. That is what that's what all that the entire life is aimed at, that only, irrespective of the fact whatever scriptures we see. But Kathopanishad gives us the calibrated effort and how it could be culminated into getting into that particular point. So this has, irrespective of the philosophical interpretation and all, because one thing always we have to say, because people talk about, the differences in philosophy and all. That is, difference in philosophy is always a man-made. Because the philosophy is nothing but the interpretation. It is a construct of interpretation of our scriptures. The scriptures prima donna in our entire Sanatana Dharma, irrespective of the fact, whatever denomination you belong to and all. Unless the Vedas are there, unless the Brahma Sutram, which is the interpretative sort of which gives the interpretative jurisprudence on the Vedas, because the Sanskrit is not a language like any other language as it is. It has got the profound, because utility in terms of expression, in terms of the meaning, as well as in terms of the depth of the meaning one can get into and all. And it also depends upon the context in which it has been used. Some of you may be knowing it is just for the purpose of information only, not to get into sort of too much details into the structure of the language and all. Philosophers, if you see all around the world, they are the philosophers, not only philosophers per se, they are the linguistic experts. For instance, because even Bertrand Russell, because he's considered to be the mathematician comes philosopher, because most of the philosophers at one point of time in Europe, they were mathematicians and the philosopher, like Bertrand Russell, even the French philosopher, the one who has brought, the concept of how to, because what is the concept of God itself, who has looked into, all those things are like that. And then subsequently, they also try to understand how do you understand all the concept, be it a esoteric concept like a God or anything, because ephemerally that you are dealing with the things in day-to-day life, you are using the language. The linguistic knowledge is essential, and how the lingua franca is being used in communicating between one another forms the basis on which the ideas are being exchanged, ideas are being understood, internalized, and developed. Therefore, the language becomes very, very important in that, because the Sanskrit has got the sort of such a versatile utility of the language, because there are rules for conjunction. Normally, what we call conjunction in English as well as in the other languages, Hindi or any vernaculars in the Tamil, Telugu and all, we do have certain rules and all. Whereas in Sanskrit, there is something called samasam. Samasam, when they come together, and because it can be, the word will not, will just get into a different pronunciation and a different connotation it will give. So that, when you, unless you are able to the conjectured world, unless you have the sort of knowledge to split it, sorry, that is called anvaya. So you should be able to take, which are all the two words that are formed into this conjectured word. You should be able to get into that samasa kusumavali, because there is particularly every Sanskrit student, will have to go through that and how many samasams are there and all. Then there is a sandhi. Sandhi is, because how, because apart from the conjectures, even, when words are coming together jointly, how they just get into the vowels, how the vowels, because transmute that word, how to get into that. So once you know that, only you will be able to take the appropriate word out of that and interpret it. These are all the basic knowledge. Yeah, all these acharyas who interpreted, they all had this profound knowledge on all these things. They have taken it out, and based on their interpretation, they have come about. So with this only, when we say, because there are different philosophies on interpreting different things and all, they have taken it out. They have taken it again in the usage of the Sanskrit. If you have seen, like every other language, like it has not got, because like diction is there, because if you talk about Hindi itself, in UP itself, there are so many different type of, because the colloquial Hindi is available. What you can speak, in some other places, it is decipherable, because it is something else they are using it. So is in case of Bihar and all. So likewise, the language gets, the change, with the culture and habits of the people and the ease with which they communicate and all. Well, Sanskrit didn't undergo such a thing and all, but the interpretation has undergone based on the cultural mores of that particular area. That's why we have got different philosophical interpretations. Etymology is another one. Etymology is getting to the root of this word. How this word has arisen. What is the root for this word? Taking that root and how that root could be used, within the conditions of these entire rules, because samasam, sandhi and all. And then based on that, the interpretation has been done. This has also changed over a period of time, because as the time has gone by, because Shankara has come in the 7th and 8th century. He has come, because with at the time, because there was a proliferation of so many other faiths. Even the Veda's importance was, perhaps you can say, at its lowest ebb. Because even Veda was existing, and even Vedas are considered to be the guideline for so many people, and but those who are practicing it, they have become so much elitist. It has not reached the common man. The common man considered to be, it's a mumbo jumbo, like all of us thinking of any other scriptures in those days. They thought, we are here to live. Why can't we live? Because let us live and go with it. Let people, who are elitist and who are capable, let them go about it. Let's not bother about it. That's what had happened. In that, when it is there, one thing is common irrespective of the timeline, because he came in 7th and 8th century. Ramanuja came further late, because closer towards the 10th century. And then almost 8-9 centuries later, 11th, he came. And afterwards, the Madhva and all, because they came and I think 13th century, further down. So as it was going, irrespective of the fact, whatever they have tried to apply and interpret, there is a commonality in all the interpretation that is not being talked about, because I think it is a sort of as a practice of highlighting the differences to show how is one is better than the other. There is a human tendency to dominate and show, because that his philosophy is much more important than this. the differences are being highlighted, and because this is not correct, our interpretation is correct, because this is how, because things are going about. But one commonality that has come about, that is a profound commonality. All the philosophy says Brahma Satyam. That is common to Advaita, that is common to Visishta Advaita, that is common to Tattvavada Advaita. This is common to Shuddha Advaita, that is common to Beda Beda. Everything, all philosophy, that is one common. That has been highlighted in the mantra that we have seen, the 9th mantra, what we have seen last week. The 9th mantra simply said, Yacha Udayati Suryaha Astam Gacchati Etrachad, where because the sun rises from him and sun sets in him. That's what it said. Then we try to interpret, how explain how great this is. Tam Devaha Sarve Arpitaha, all gods and Devaha, in the sense, all powers who are enabling us to do all these things and all. Because we do have so many powers, we have assigned so many powers, because our own organs, like eyes, we have got the Abhimani Devata, like our ears, we have got, and then, because our own speaking and thinking, everything, because for manas, buddhi, ahankara, for all of them, we do have the devatas assigned. Because they are the inner powers we are enabling to perform. The senses are only sort of organs representing what it can do. The power to operate is being controlled by these people. But all these things are controlled by one life force. It is talking about that life force. When they say sun sets in him, it is that power who is the one who is having a sort of controlling all other powers. It is like all the powers, which are all helping us to do. Apart from this, the bodily, because operations, even what is operating, because when we say Vayu is there, Agni is there, all the 5 elements, and Apa is there, because water, Prithvi, because earth, all of them, Akasha, because they all they have got a function to perform. All of them are performing. How they are performing? Because if the rain doesn't come, because there is a drought, and if there is a tsunami, because there is a disaster, if there is a sort of a earthquake, because then again, it's a geological phenomena, it's also getting, but there must be a power like, who is controlling us, because he's also controlling that. So one who is controlling all the powers across, not only in this cosmos, in the stellar space, it is talking about that power. In that power, what it says is, because it's like all other powers which are working, irrespective of the fact, because in the space, in the time, or in the sort of internal control of the animal's body, everything and all. Virat Swarupa, when we talk about, it is like that, because the entire, all the creations are inside that particular Virat Swarupa, because the ultimate power who displays. In that, you will not be able to differentiate between, because even a dog or elephant or a chimpanzee or a human being or a dolphin, you cannot differentiate. All of them are equally, so you can't find any difference. And there is no difference in God's creation. The divine law of equality is there. There is no difference whatsoever. The differences are only perceived by your interaction with the space and time and the object on which you are giving your own attributes, which perhaps is not there. That attribute is there only for some time, ephemeral. It's there and then it vanishes. This we have seen enough, but then, because this is the general indication. If all other powers are, because connected through a spokes to the center of the power, like, because like it's a radii, because that is controlling the powers, because how this radii is functioning, because there is a gravitational force, the central power, it folds, the centripetal force. You are attached to that. Who are all these? These are all the ones who have got the powers to do something, like Prithvi, Earth, Water, Agni, and Vayu and Akasha. These are all the elements, and that all other powers that are internally working into plants, animals, and every being. And who is also, because he has not only created the entire creation, he has also got into everything, to operate them and give them the necessary power as per their capability and how they should get it. That's what it happens. So finally, he is the power, and it says it is the power in which the sun rises and sun sets. That means all of it encompasses all other powers also. The sun is supreme. When you see Hiranyagarbha and all, everything coming out of the Hiranyagarbha is being represented by sun. All other powers are all subordinate to sun, because when sun himself sets and rises, and others, you don't have to talk about, they have to necessarily do it. That means, what if, we are human being? It is the verse doesn't talk about human being, it is taken for granted. You've got no other option to be but to dependent on to these all these subordinate powers of the final power, and you don't. There is no question of because whether you are having any power and all, because you are dependent. This is what exactly has been brought about in one of the philosophies, Tattvavada, that he is independent and all the entire thing, others are all dependent. Of course, that is accepted, but everyone is interpreting in their own way. That's all. When it is said, because it is then, why, because this has been brought, then we will see, because what happens is, Tam Deva Sarve Arpita. This is, it says, the sun being, such a sort of a leading power, if he is arising and setting in that power, all others, you don't have to survey Deva Arpita. They are all submitting themselves to that. There is a hierarchy. That hierarchy they are talking about, that is had been, because that's what the Veda, because we call Veda Shruti, Abeda Shruti and all, the hierarchy is there. If a person is getting elevated, yes, he reaches a level. But if a person becomes something of a guru, he is elevated still further. If a person become an acharya, the one who is, propounds a philosophy and tries to find how you can understand the power, the ultimate power, is still at the higher level, because we may be equal in divine creations, but we do have our own set of hierarchy in which we have evolved. You cannot be, because all unequals cannot be equals, and the equals need not necessarily be equated with unequals, because this is what it says. That means there is one power, you submit, don't find any differences in whatsoever. And it also says with one power, you will not be able to never, it is the ultimate end. And as we said, because it is the plenitude of the infinity, you can't go past beyond that. It is the limit. The limit, because what we say, because the limit set by the scriptures is the final limit. You cannot go beyond. Then, because you within that, because whatever you try to interpret, whatever you try to propound, you propound. But you cannot go beyond that. This has been recognized by everyone. That's why Brahma Satyam is there. So this is the one which has been brought about. And this entirely says, because this, since the central force that is there, the gravitational force, which gravitates, even the highest power that be, then everyone is submitting. All other creatures who are all dependent on these powers and subordinate powers to continue their activity, they have to be necessarily dependent. That means, never, we will be able to think, I am doing something and I have the powers and I have achieved it, I have accomplished it. I am always dependent. Aham naham karta, hari karta, because he is getting it done by us. That's why, because I used to quote, the Ganesha and Pancharatnam in the second verse, what it says, the Ganesha in this one, Nishushurita Ganapate Ganeshutvam Ahu, because, because when we pray, in the beginning of a prayer and all, we request Ganesha to come inside and make everything, because whatever I am doing, whether it is a prayer or a puja, you get it done by me. And you are the one, Kabir Manishi, because in the sense, you are the one who knows everything. You are the one finally will be able to give me the power and get that, whatever I am giving the prayer or devotion, you will be able to take it and offer it to the ultimate power. That's what we talk about. This becomes the foundation for the next two slokas. That is why, because still the previous mantra, 8th mantra, we said, because how we will have to do, Guru and Sishya is required. Aranya nihito jatavetaha, like, because two logs of woods, create a spark. The spark is, inbuilt into the logs, but we can't see. Likewise, because he is there everywhere. Isavarsham idagam sarvam, but we are not able to see, because he will come only when a Guru and Sishya, when Guru is able to bring you a spark out, and when you are able to gather that spark into a small flame, offer it to your sadhana of your Gitkund, because then only you will be able to get that, not otherwise. That has been, because sadhana part they said, it's not that dive itya, because you have to do day by day. It's not that, one time affair. You have to constantly be working on that. This is exactly, because all great, because even Ramana Maharishi, because someone said, look, I have been doing meditation, because this is not only the person who asked Ramana Maharishi's experience, there are so many other people. I have been doing meditation for the last 5 years or 6 years, and because nothing has happened at all. And in fact, I received one WhatsApp message from Madam, which also Swami Rama is telling, because when meditation you have done, because if nothing has happened, because there is something wrong with the meditation, it is never supposed to happen. In a sense, what happens is, it is the process is, the avidya, what we call is the wrong knowledge, wrong practices, wrong approach that we will have to remove. In the sense, you will have to slowly unlearn and you will have to give up. What we have learned, when you are giving up, that is meditation. But whatever, because I have, because all my sort of innate qualities, I cling on, because only during the particular type of time of meditation, I am without that. Once I come back, it comes again, operates in me, in the sense I will not get the benefit. It's because certainly you are supposed to get the benefit. You should get the benefit and you are entitled. It's your birthright. But you have not, because taken that particular stance. I will have to give up. I will have to give up in the sense, not that, you deliberately do, and like attitude, thinking, because that has to change. That will change, because when you think, because that you are doing everything, because that you don't get into, because you don't, your own sort of angularities, you don't apply to that. Your own prejudices, you don't apply to that. On anything, because not to the meditation, when you come out of that, because as you are able to give up your prejudices, angularities, then you become, the meditation will try to give you the effect. Till such time, the meditation will definitely, it has given you the seeds. It has helped you to bring the focus of mind, ekagrita, chitta ekagrita, focusing. Otherwise, till such time, you are only wavering. When you start doing a meditation and all, at least you will be able to focus and concentrate, on particular sort of a moment, at least you are just watching your breath, or at least focusing on something, or if you are trying to chant something, the prayer, you are trying to put, full thought onto that, because so that, all other thoughts don't come and, because initially they will all be coming and bothering you. they will be like unwanted guests, because always entering into, when you are trying to sit for a prayer, then only, some phone call will come from a marketing man. Why don't you, because you already invested in the mutual fund, why don't you, we are offering this and that and all. Then you will get distracted and also, because you will have to follow certain things, you will have to keep your mobile, silent, or likewise, you will, to be silent, you will have to keep so many other things silent. So your thoughts, will also have to sort of, you should not get into the thoughts, and the thoughts will be there, but you ignore it because you cannot avoid thoughts coming into and all. See, now I am just working on that. I am only going to be focusing on my breath, or these the chanting, what I am doing, or focusing on to the things what I have been asked by the one who is teaching me and has asked me to do. So once you do, then slowly you get into that, and then meditation or anything will help. These are all the sadhanas what we have talked about in the what we see up to the mantra number 8. Like the spark has been taken, and then that spark you will have to develop slowly, and because you have to make it a small flame and puts in the ignition. The way every day, you will have to add, so that finally you reach a stage when you don't have any sort of a chaff left. No unwanted guess ever comes into your process, whenever you do meditation and all. So then that happens, that then you will be able to continue the entire thing. Because one of the things, because very succinctly told by Ramana Maharshi to the person who has said, look, always we think, because something, but certainly, you get the happiness when you get something new, when you are able to get the new gadget, new facilities and other things and all. So more you acquire, because the happiness will have to grow like that, because I think then, if you don't have anything, no facility and all, so you should be sort of depressed. Look, I don't have that, others have that. I don't have that is okay, one thing. But when you think others are having it, that is, of course, that is, then you are getting into the another mode. You are not, the chitta ekagrata is already, you are going into the mode of dissipation. And that will again take you faster. Those process once comes in, they will take faster. So then what happens? Then when he quotes the entire experience, in the deep sleep. The deep sleep, irrespective of the fact, anywhere, in any person, any part of the world, or any animal and all, at that point of deep sleep, they are all forgetting, because what they are, a dog will forget whether it is a dog, a man will forget whether it is a man, an elephant will in the deep sleep also forget whether it is an elephant. They were all at the thing at that point of time, because your soul in its pristine, pure state, without any conditioning and contamination, it's very close to the ultimate power who has created you. At that point of time, you don't have anything. You don't have even the body. Forget about having anything at all to feel the facility. In fact, that's what we are aiming at. Once you are having such a type of, because the mental state, when you are able to, your mind is able to attune to such a high state, that becomes a meditation all through. You don't have to spend only as fixed hours in a day. Your life becomes a meditation. It's not that, you will be sitting idle, you will be doing everything and all, but, you are just living it, everything, because everything doesn't belong to me. So I have to manage this, because tomorrow it is there and all. I will try my best. I will see what are all the things I have to do, because there is a procedure, there is a rules and regulations, guidelines. I will do that. But finally, let me do it as perfectly as possible, because let me try to sort of comply with everything, and because let the power, who has given me the power to do it, let him take care of it, and you do it, and I leave it at that. But if I do it, what happens? You try to put, he did it and it happened to him, but someone else did it, it did not happen to him. Likewise, you go on doing it, you will not be able to even make a start. The great writers, they were not great writers, because all through, because some of them started only in their late 60s, or maybe some people started in 70s also. Because you had all the ideas, but every time you try to put your pen to the paper, because what is that am I to write? Because other fellows have written this and that. But once you get into the core of you, And once you know there are so many things that is bubbling to come out, I will have to put it onto the paper. Let me see, because you don't bother, you don't have to be a big writer, or you just do your own sort of a pure satisfaction. It will happen. It will happen. Some other people, because then it's not that you'll have to necessarily become a sort of a well-known writer and all. You will be a writer worth the name because you have put, unconditionally whatever was bubbling out of your mind. Emotion recollected in tranquility, emotion recollected in calmness, emotion recollected without contamination, that forms the wonderful writing. So God is like, one writer has said, God is like a book. See, author is, because he's invisible all through the book, but he's the one available in the book all through. The author's creation, because whatever he has thought bubbling out of the mind is coming out in the book. But you don't find in him because I have written, because what his ideas have come. But he is invisible all through the book till such time you finish it. In a good book, when you are reading, when you are totally absorbed into that, author is invisibly, because all through the book, but he is still there. Of course, you recommend, this is the book I read and all, but finally the contents makes, the very big difference. It is, that is what, this mantra has said. Having said that, that means, there is a power, beyond which, you can anything what you call transcend and all, transcending your limitations of understanding that power. When you say transcend, in the sense, you cannot transcend anything because you are dependent and because you are totally dependent. That's what the mantra is very clearly said, irrespective of the philosophy. That's what interpreted by everyone. And then, because that's what in the mantra number 10, we see in briefly last week. Yet eva ihatat amutra. Whatever yet eva ihatat, whatever indeed is here is there. That's what the simple word says. What is that? Whatever is here is there. In the sense, human tendencies always differentiate between, because the lot of differences, because man and animal, because that is one type of a difference. Between the man and the man, between the animal itself, between a lion and because we give name to the lions also. So because he was rogue lion, was caught, because then a rogue tiger was caught, because even 2 days before you must have seen the news in West Bengal, because they caught and finally tranquilized and sent into the sort of a zoo and all. Likewise, because we try to differentiate and all. But is there any difference? Because the same life power, it operates everywhere and all. You can't see the difference between anything. Well, for your practical identity, you are giving it. You have got the name, because practical identity, by name only, I can be differentiated. But otherwise, the same power which is operating in all of us. This is what, as we have seen in Isavashyam, Upanishad also, all other Upanishad also. Vijigupsate, he is always concealed in the same power. Sarvabhuteshu Vijigupsate, irrespective of the fact, whoever is there, because he is operating the one inside and that is not known to us. But because he is the one who is finally with us. But we are having the name and all because we are being identified. So that, because we have got an identity to go about in the world, that is certain. Without identity, you can't go about. Whether you are Advaita or visit Advaita, and now you say, we are all one, why should I have a name? What is there in a name? Shakespeare asked. He asked philosophically in the sense, because name is only an indication. But because as Martin Luther King said, it is the color, not the color of the person, it is the content of the character, because that's going to exemplify. This is exactly has been brought about, because the name form and all is the practical, because that you'll have to go about and doing and make a living. And we have got an identity, we are doing it. That's all, nothing more than it's an identity card. If it is lost, it's lost, and when the body goes, that's all. And even otherwise, if you are giving Alzheimer's, because if you are if you are having, because any other disease, you are not able to remember anything at all, your identity is lost. But as long as we have got the memory and perform and we have got so much of consciousness to get things for us, it is working. Yad iva eha tad amutra Yat amutra tad an yet tad amutra tad anu iha. Because the same is there and same is here. That's what it says. It is one of the interpretation what is happening here is because because it is the same. God is the same in all of us. Who is operating power. And you are because when the same operating power is there, what is there to you cannot find any difference. But then everyone has got his own conditionalities. He has come with his own prarabdhas, his own chittas, because his own capabilities and his own because conditionalities is working within that. So, but when we are having this and when we are trying to do everything and all, when we have come, it is like we have come here as a traveler to exhaust, because whatever we are supposed to be acquiring the knowledge by exhausting, because whatever sort of efforts, we have to do, what we call it karma, efforts we have to do so that, we gain, because we get evolved into the next stage. We are like a traveler, musafir, because what they call. From you go one to another, but when you are going, you are going with the elevated sort of, the incarnation, because you go into the next stage, you evolved. As you are evolving, is there any end to the evolving? No, it is, you will continuously evolve. It is a work in progress. It is the journey. When your life is a journey, what you call it's continuous evolvement. So once you have that, your ideas will be just higher and nobler, and you will be looking into the things which are far greater for the development of your innate sort of bliss and the innate soul, as well as because certainly you'll be looking after your body, because body is the means through which you will have to get that. So this is exactly because the divine being that is to be attaining supreme Brahman, what we call Satchitananda. Satchitananda is then when you get Satchitananda, Sat is the truth, Chit is the highest, because when you don't have contaminating the elevated mind, Ananda is the highest bliss, that is Brahman. And you will be, when you know that knowledge and you attend, you self-realize, that's what. The Satchitananda is a word that is called the Akhanda. Akhanda in the sense, in Advaita philosophy says it is one word. You cannot differentiate. When you get that, so the what you will be getting here, because that will be there, and not only that, because this is what thousands of births, you had, or you are going to have. That is what the possibility is there. So we try to get that, because it's not that, but what is there, that possibility was there in the earlier birth also. We couldn't do that. I think several births earlier also we could have got that. We didn't get, but we are going to get that. That is fair, because that's what it says. Yat veha tadamutra yadmutra tadanviha, because it is the same thing. So here also, because once you have that, then why do you, then, if that is the case, why do you, he says, if you're trying to find the difference, because what happens is, this has given rise to, because when we give such a, whatever is there, that is here, and why so many religions? We are trying to keep ourselves in boundaries of certain religion because we are born into that. We have been told by our parents and they are professing a particular practices of the religion, and we have been told this is that. Upanishad goes beyond all those things. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuta Vadanti, the Rigveda, that mantra is there, that has been exemplified here. You may be so many things, but finally the truth is one. That's what is here. I think, why are you trying to sort of get into all those things? So once you have that, because that is what is here in the sense, because you don't try to bring in, because the undue differentiation into those things, he is following, because in our own, because religion also you can see, those we are professing, though we call it a religion, it is such a wide one, because ours is dharma. It is transcending everything. Finally, it says the final truth that is obtaining in this world. That is why Sanatana. Ever, because it is there and all, because that dharma, because we are part of that. If we are trying to call by other, the anglicized names and all, we are trying to encircling ourselves within the limitations. And some people say, no, look, I am Shakti Upasaka, because I only do certain procedures and professing certain things, which are all prescribed for Shakti. Some they say, because we are all, because the Shiva Upasakas, we only worship because Rudra is important. We do only chant Rudram and all. Because those people who are knowledgeable, they don't bother about all those things. And because likewise, someone they be a Vaishnavish, because you might find, because some other Vaishnavish, they don't even go to the Shiva temple or because other temples and all. They have been, they said, look, we are only the worship. What is that? These are all, because ignorance, it is says. The pure ignorance. In fact, because mrityocha mrityu, if you are trying to find, something, you will go from death to death. That's what Yama says to Nachiketa. You can't find any difference whatsoever because I'm Ganapati Upasaka, I'm Shakti Upasaka, because I'm this Shaivite, because I'm Vaishnavite, I'm this, I'm that, because and they say I'm a Kashmiri Shaivite. So many things. About then this is a smaller this one. Then further I belong to this religion. I'm a Christian. I'm a Jew, and this and that. And so many other religions are there, and so many. But it's an update. But finally, the truth is one. When sun sets and sun rises, the same sun is rising everywhere. That's why they have taken the analogy of a sun, the simile of a sun, the metaphor of the sun to show you don't differentiate with all these things, because these are all man-made differences because of your limitations of the perception, and you are totally dependent. If sun is not there, because will any part of the world can survive, or any other, because people whoever, whatever you are professing, even in our country, will you be able to survive? He is required. If you are finding the differences, they say it is to the whole world, not to, because only people in this country and all. If you are trying to find a difference between a human being and a human being, an animal in Africa and animal in India, and because animal elsewhere, Southeast Asia, the American continent, you are at the, you will go from death to death in the sense, because I think you don't have any chance of getting into the redemption in this birth. In the sense, you are not meant for that. It is your birthright to get the enlightenment. Why you are not getting it? It chimes, gently chimes. Who sees difference between here and there, he goes from death to death. This is. He doesn't say birth to birth. Birth is, because it will happen because, once you have unfulfilled desires, you see differences, anything, you will go on getting the birth. Till such time, finally, you are not able to see any difference. Still such time, you don't have any unfulfilled desires left. This is what a great, because it is a sort of a universal mantra, because in fact, this mantra should have been inscribed everywhere. Because so that people do understand the meaning of the mantra, because otherwise people may misinterpret it also. They are right, appropriate, the meaning should have been given, because Vasudhaiva Kudumpakam, when we say, it is not a mere words, just to highlight the supremacy of our religion. It is a innate truth, that has been brought about. The great masters, who have dwelt, into beyond the cosmic knowledge and got into that, and they have put in such a wonderful verse here. This is something. And, because you go from, it doesn't say birth to birth, birth to death, that's what is being, you will see in all the religions talk about. Or birth to birth, no one talks about birth to death, because that is what we know, what happens to us. We only go by that. But here Yama says death to death, because then you do, because once you see that, you will not have any fear of death. Death is, it is a sort of an incidental, it has to happen. Anything has come from death to death. In fact, Chinmayanandaji jocularly says, because he is Yama must have done a course in marketing, that's why he's talking about death to death. He says, but it has been put very nicely, because everything will have to come to an end. Because when you are not able to get the knowledge, already you are embracing the death of your development. Why do you do that? You got a birthright to go several things here. Because why? What is that? You are such a wonderful being. You are having come here. You will have to, because like an emperor of your thoughts and an emperor, walk like an emperor, not be a peevish beggar submitting yourself, finding differences here and there and all. You have to see it from the bird's eye view, from the firmament. You will have to see from the stellar space. Don't confine yourself in the ditches of the earth and be looking into the deep down. You are looking into the darkness. Where is the light will be available to you and all. As we go about, we'll say the conditions in which we are still able to not to get into this particular aspect of the life. This mantra I have reserved, because it's got such a wonderful, the meaning into that. And forthcoming two mantras, two verses, they are in fact taking it to the further heights, ennobling, because the whatever we have talked about into further language, the sort of philosophical, not only that, everyday life what we can do. Because that's why, we should not see any difference whatsoever. In the sense, anything what has happened, because, you say your own experience, you try to differentiate. Because when I was here, because I had the same problem, 10 years before in Delhi. Of course, that was easier, I could do. But here, things are very difficult. Same problem. And you are the same person. The same conditions it has happened. But the times have changed. You are not kept up to the time. At that time, because there was no internet, no mobile, and no digitization at all. At the time, everything was manual, because 20-25 years before. But, you are trying to find the difference and all. But what is the difference? The problem is same. But if you go with the same equanimity, and the approach, you will be able to solve them. So finally, what is that? Because how we are all, in the sense, we are all dependent on to so many powers, who are all being gravitated to the centripetal force, like a radii, of a, sort of a cycle, that all of them are being working to an order. I think there is no disorder anywhere. Have you seen anywhere, because the sea is overflowing into the land and all? It comes, tsunami comes once in a while, warning, guys, what are you doing, because you might, set yourself right. That's why it gives you the warning. Earthquake comes, because it does it, it happens mainly because you have not taken care of that part of the earth, and you have not maintained yourself, because the flora and fauna is not coming. So that, because after all, the control, the earthquake only finally gives you the mineral. Where did you get all these diamonds, gold, and all other base metals and all? How do you get it? It is all the gift given by the Mula Prakriti through, because unless the earthquake there, the volcanoes are there, you will not get all these materials. And you get the petroleum product, because petrol, how it comes, it's not only the geological activities, it is all on the creatures in the sea, they have all metamorphosed and it becomes the petroleum. And you are using it left, right, and center as it is. Not only to spoil the same earth, because it has given so much of a wealth. And we are giving it back in our own way. That's why we are reaping what we are supposed to get it. The lesson has been brought so beautifully into this verse, and this is going to be the foundation for the next two verses. The next two verses, in fact, the verse number 11, because it is going to be a sort of a philosophical nightmare in the sense it has got one particular word which has been interpreted by so many other philosophers differently. But it does have a fantastic interpretation, because not only to the philosophers, but also to the entire world as a common man, how you should live and all. So this has brought about, because as such, you should not find any difference, or you should not perceive any difference, anything what you are undergoing in this world. That means, you jolly well accept, there should not be any problem in accepting. You put a condition, I will accept only if it is there and all, that you are, that's your death to death, that's what your own funeral. And I think, because Yama says, not so many, I think in fact in so many languages, he says from death to death, he says. Don't say and all, because yet Eva iha tat amutra, yet amutra tat anuiha. Because this is what is here, that is what is there. What is the great thing, for you are finding a difference. So you are having the same body. I think, afterwards, it is going to earth, because ashes to ashes and dust to dust. So is everyone's. So is the body of a lion, or the skin of a lion, or snake, or any other thing and all. So why you are finding a difference? You are all here because there is one great power, because he is keeping you. But it is the centripetal force he is trying to keep you. But we become, because addicted to the getting ourselves paranchikani, the centrifugal. So we are dissipating ourselves and get away that. That's why one beautiful mantra is in the Gita. We will quote that mantra, that what, because it is repeatedly, I might have quoted elsewhere also in the 7th chapter, 7th mantra, we'll see that. And with that, we will also be able to see the mantra number 11. It's beautiful. I think it is going to take us. I think these are all the things not only for us, it is for every one of us. It is good God given us an opportunity to know it. I think we'll have to thank him forever. And with this, I will conclude today's session. Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahaihi, Tejasvina Vadidamastuma Vishvidavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you. I think tomorrow again 6:15 and 6:30 we have got the Sundarakanda Parayanam. Day after, we have got a small exposition. And again next week again we will be having Kathopanishad, and I will be confirming all those things. Thank you very much. Wish you all the very best and have a nice week. And tomorrow we will see again. Thank you.
Thanks,
if you
Ramkrishna.
have anything, you can ask. I think we have got a couple of minutes or 10 minutes.
Actually, I was just thinking, so everything is preordained, everything is pre-decided, and yet we are supposed to be living with free will. So how does that happen exactly?
That is exactly the misinterpretation, madam. Free will, what we say, it is not exactly free will. I think as you perceive it as a free will, because you are always conditioned, because let us say you take, because some object, because you might be, because since you are a physicist, he knows about it. If a some sort of, because in a small beaker or in a small crucible, if some uranium, because isotopes are kept and all, I might be, because I am totally uninitiated into physics or chemistry like me. I will see, it looks like, some crystals. I think, because why it should be kept, because you might be keeping in a lead container and all those things, you will be doing it. For me, the perception is, because why it should be, because it's like a salt in my house. I'm keeping it in a glass bottle. Why can't? And then, because but you have got that knowledge in the sense, because you at least been and what is the effect of it, what is the purpose of it and all. I don't know. For me, because I may find, it is like that, because I don't the value of that. But because the how it has to be kept in a lead container and all, because the knowledge helps you to do that. And when you are doing that, it is not a free will, because if without my knowledge, in the sense, what it says is you don't have any knowledge about what is happening in the world. How can you have free will? You see, everyone, because in fact, if you see in the initial days, having a computer was considered to be a status symbol. When the small computers had come, whether people knew about it or not, they went on buying it. And I used to have a phenomenal problem personally. I was in one multinational, I was looking after the entire, the computer setup was under me. These fellows used to go and buy something from London, some market, and all tritty bitty some computers. Why don't you make it work for me and all? I think, it's not some equipment. This is what I'm talking about, late 80s and early 90s. Some of our senior directors, they used to go there, for a visit, and they will bring, because the Apple was the worst possible computers at the time when it came. They used to bring Apple, they tried to sell it. A marketing man sell it. It used to be available in all the big shops and all. And it does need a software, and it does need, because certain power conditions. They will not, I told him, you got a rut, for someone has palmed it off. I have to tell them in so many words. And he said, look, everyone was buying, I had a free will, and because free will doesn't allow you, because free will is what you think at that point of time, you need it. And the free will is the one. When what is the free will? Free will because we don't actually have it, because when you really get a free will in the sense, when it comes, because not out of your knowledge and conditions, but when it comes from a different, because when you are into See, when am I to, because cross this path, when am I have to take these steps? Suppose, someone has held up in the organization for a long time. He has not got his promotion, or someone is not getting a break. At that point of time, you think, it is good. Then someone says, no, you go and see him, because he will do that and all. Sometimes you feel like, no, I'm not going to see. Some people may be so determined, because. And some people say, let me work on that. If it comes in the way, let me take it. Otherwise, not take it. But let me do the working. But it's for my own satisfaction. When you do that, that is free will. That directs you to the rest of it. Free will in the sense, whatever is conditioned one, they are not free will. They are conditioned will. You are conditioned, because I have to get a Mercedes Benz, because it's not a free will. A scooter will do the purpose for me. If I have to go, around in my cycle, with in this street only without any hassle, that is the right thing for me. That is what is needed at that point of time. It is free will in the sense, whatever I can do, the knowledge is there, because this is good and I should get it. But for what purpose, I don't know. Once you make a sort of a distinction, what is required, and the best thing is to use whatever you have. And then, because what you need will automatically be coming to you. So once you try to do whatever you have, and certainly what you need, the opportunity will come. You will actually, even without making having a free will decision, you will get into that. It comes to you. When you are able to work on that, the universe gives it to you. But you don't want that. I want to have it. Because after having it, because how am I to, use it, because then it is a guzzler, the petrol price is going up. Why did I have it? Because you want to sell it in the same vehicle, because it will be asked for a peanut, because next day you go there. They will say 100 different things. So in the sense, free will doesn't, free will is the one, you go on doing it, automatically the right path comes to you. That is the will that comes to you by grace, Ishwaratva, because that's what next mantra will say, it will come. The free will in the sense, because I can do whatever I want because of my knowledge, what I have. Free will is, I will not do anything, because I will just use whatever is then and try will to do to the best possible effect, because to excellence, because when C.V. Raman did it, he didn't have a laboratory, because he was working in the borrowed, the membership, and then he was working on that. And because when he was traveling to London by sea, because he happened to observe certain phenomena, and then finally he got it. So likewise, the free will in the sense, if I go on doing it and I will have this facility, I will have this facility, then I will do this in the sense. It's all conditionalities we are applying also. It is not at all a free will. The free will is, it is a sort of a, because unfulfilled desires without any purpose, because that's why we become a purposive animal. Purpose animal, without knowing the purpose for which we are going to use it, we want to acquire that. Once you know that, because once you have the utility, because for instance, in our country, because the entire industry has gone, for the nuclear industry and space have gone in their own phase, because of, they have used whatever is available. All the great the great people who have, were leading these organizations, they were trying to use the best of it, build up the talent, and because finally they try to use, because then wherewithal to use even the facilities that is available later. It has come gradually calibrated. Now we are able to stand on our own, because we are not dependent on. If because if you like some other countries, they went on importing the technology, and finally like Southeast Asia, but they are not able to manage. They are nowhere near. But whereas, because like China, they did it, and today they are still in the forefront of the AI as well as everything else. They have got about 3,000 satellites hovering around, watching all the leaders in all the countries. And where we are, because at the time of independence, they are much, much below our capacity and capability. Today, you say, because it is all just because, it is not the free will, they have worked on themselves. They have used whatever it is. They're trying to do it and all. And today they are independent, because even the biggest power is, afraid of them. They can take them over in any time and all, because they have got all the resources. In fact, because they are the biggest lenders to US, because they are holding so much about dollars. If they try to bring down the dollar in one day, they can do it. It's all a balance, that has been kept like that. And all. So therefore, free will, actually, if you see, there is nothing called a free will. We assume we have a free will. But once you accept, try to excel with whatever you have, the right will be coming to you automatically, and the cosmos will throw you the right thing, what you need for that. In fact, because you don't have to go after, it will come to you, your birthright, it will come to you. That is, in fact, because this verse was also trying to do that. But it is more to be experienced than to be expressed. This is what it says. People, as you feel, as you go about, you feel in your life, because it has to do how it happens. Because like Dr. Manmohan Singh, because before he was called to be finance minister, he was in Geneva, because in labor organization, he has been sent as a representative. And in fact, because he went to some conference in Japan and he returned that night. And the then Prime Minister, because he thought, because he will have to get the right person, who is having, the composite experience of Reserve Bank, as well as economy, as well as this one, and who is also sort of a straightforward and sort of, up to, he is sort of up to the mark, and he also understands the world and, the global trade and practices. So the previous night only has arrived from Japan. The next morning, because the Prime Minister's office sent for him and he was sworn in as a finance minister. Because to find, because that you can't design it. It all happened, because the man was also, he was also having such a wonderful vision, to get the right person for the job. And 91, of course, whatever good or bad, so many things have happened. But our entire, because entire trend has changed. Our entire country has embarked upon a new route. Because we were not having enough foreign exchange even for 89 days. 98th day was a problem. At that point of time, it all happened, because they have focused on what they have to do. They didn't try to do extraordinary thing. They didn't go for IMF, to borrow full, because type of thing and become a debtor for the entire life and all. They did that and they tried to work and they could succeed. Likewise, in the free will is the one, once you try to use everything, there is no free will as it is. It is what, we are considering. The free will is the word that is used by Western philosophy, because Western philosophy says, because it is a man and the attitude is being studied more in the Western philosophy, and his relationship with the God comes later. So that man and attitudes, what makes him attitude? That's why existentialism and so many other philosophies come. It is a Western concept, because we are trying to impose into that. In ours, it is all only God's will. Naham karta, hari karta. He only gets it done by us. And this mantra only said, we are totally dependent. There is no question of independence. And because even the powers who are helping you to do everything, they are all dependent to the centripetal force. And what we get, when we get distracted into the wants and the expansion of our thin, we are centrifugal. We are into the centrifugal. We are dissipating your energy instead of getting the best out of the centripetal force and get into that. We are dissipating ourselves and losing our, because of our ability to excel. This is what the mantra has said. This we will see in the next two mantras. Will amplify, this particular thought, much more. We'll see. Thank you. Thank you very much. We will see next week. All the best. Tomorrow we will meet, for the Sundarakanda. Sahana vavatu, sahana bunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahaihi, tejasvina vadidamastuma vishvidavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Prabhuda. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. See you next tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.